Greetings, observers of real life. I'd say something more witty, but it is what it is. Today is Monday, January 25th, 2021. In these videos, we're talking about the nature of the times. Now, with so much excitement, let us begin with the core, the deep, and a bit more long-term. So the moon's north node in Gemini is squaring Neptune exactly tomorrow, Tuesday the 26th. This has been an aspect forming through the last 6 months and will now be fading through the next 6 months. But we are in this period of the high point of collective chaos, hysteria, disconnection from reality, delusion, disassociation, escapism, addiction, suicide. This is the dynamic, the challenge with Neptune square the moon's nodes. There is a feeling of meaninglessness. There is a void we can all feel. And we are challenged, therefore, and we have the opportunity, therefore, to see what we grab onto, what to fill when we feel this void. We can see our coping mechanisms, and it's an opportunity to discover more meaningful Neptune, actually good and beneficial ways of relating ourselves to the world. Neptune square the nodes brings up the dynamic of boundaries, how we are affected by the whole, how we are affected by the collective world around us. Now, the moon's north node in Gemini, south node in Sagittarius, it's bringing up this dynamic of fake news. Nobody knows what is the truth. Collective chaos. Now, here's what I feel a need to say. At this point in time, this actual, real, no joke, all kidding aside time, a significant portion of the population has chosen to live in a fantasy. Politics aside, many people are actually pushed and motivated to live a false narrative and to fight for that narrative without any logical assessment, reasoning, explanation, or evidence. That's what we need with the moon's north node in Gemini. Evidence, logic, reasoning. However, there's a crusadum for bullshit and willful manipulation. It's not okay. It's not harmless. It's not appreciated. And I'm letting all folks know who base their life, true and philosophy off of fearful paranoia, remember these times. Be sure you actually know and understand what it is that you are fighting for. Because conspiracy theories will keep evolving and shifting to keep their cult following possessed. And that's Neptune square the south node in Sagittarius. Cult following, religious crusadum, blind faith. But the actual facts and evidence will speak for themselves, and history will remember this point in time where a significant portion of the population slipped into psychosis. Now, particularly those folks that have this propensity or danger are those Pisces sensitive folks. I can relate to this. People with Pluto in the 12th house, their moon south node in the 12th house, their moon south node in Pisces, Neptune conjunct their moon south node, many planets in the sign of Pisces, many planets in the 12th house, etc. So we need to keep ourselves in check. We need to all keep ourselves in check. And personally, I will remember the astrologers and remind them, those who have been selling these false narratives, because encouraging audiences to remain disconnected from the truth in real life as an astrologer is a fucking failure. And nobody is about to throw you or anyone else into a concentration camp either, by the way. But if you want to choose fear and invisible bad guys and running away from them for the rest of your life, by all means, you can do so. Folks, I have been speaking starkly against conspiracy theories and invisible bad guys since 2015 because it's a very easily identifiable escapism and a route to avoidance and denial as opposed to actually confronting and working with the real world. So this is nothing new. I've been saying this for years. It's not just a political statement. Moving on. This is an incredible movement. These weeks are charged, electrical, instinctual, progressive, revolutionary, mind-blowing. This is Mars joining Uranus and squaring Jupiter this last week, and this week, Sun joining Uranus and square to Uranus and Mars. Now, all of this Mars, Uranus, Jupiter action can sound a bit like, come on, let's go! These weeks are really, really, really about the future being broken in. It's like we can taste it. We just want to get there. We're sick of the old. We're rearing to go. Now, the square aspect brings up a tension and a challenge in this dynamic. First, Mars-Uranus first quarter square to Jupiter it's Mars first quarter square to Jupiter brings tremendous tension, nervous anticipation, excitement to the body and the nervous system. There's a need to be slow, to relax, to breathe, and most importantly, to stay flexible, to not just be instinctually driven and then we find ourselves driven halfway across the country before we know what has hit us. Mars-Uranus can be sudden, unexpected shocks and accidents. This is something to be aware of. In my last video, I gave planetwatcher.com, keep your eye on the clock, watch those Mars-Uranus transits. It's always a very restless, shocking, unexpected, exciting time. Now, secondly, we see Mars in the first quarter square to Jupiter brings a push-pull to the new excitement. Yes, we want freedom, we want pioneering, experimentation, and whoa, that's a lot. And that's like too much at once, and it's kind of daunting. It's so new. I don't even know how to handle it. It's so different. I'm not totally sure. Well, without being swept off our feet, we should be experimenting and pushing forward, but carefully. Like a scientist in a lab. This is a controlled experiment. There's a methodological approach. We're being delicate. We're being slow. And it's just one little baby step at a time and then testing the results. Now, it's interesting to see all of this going on while simultaneously Saturn's in the third quarter square to Uranus. So this theme, which we will see all through 2021, is breaking down the old while stepping into the new. Breaking down the old while stepping into the new, and this is occurring especially right now because we see our inner planets, Sun, Mars, Moon, aligning with this Uranus-Saturn square. This is, by the way, how you do astrology. Uranus square Saturn's going on all 2021. That's a particular dynamic, revolution, societal breakdown, and now we see the inner planets these weeks aligning with these outer planets. Now's the particular time we're really feeling and experiencing this future, this societal breakdown, and this excitement, pioneering dynamic. Our full moon coming Thursday the 28th is at 9 degrees of Leo. Yes, I dress to impress. And guess what? It's opposite to Jupiter's Sun, square to Mars-Uranus. So it's again activating this very charged, passionate, sexually liberating, creative full moon. I mean, sometimes you just gotta let it out. This full moon is illuminating how these changes can be affecting our very personality, our self-identity. What's the purpose for which we are living and expressing our lives? How can we express our individuality in a way that is creative and expressive and in tune with these exciting, changing times? How we can honor and celebrate ourselves, Leo, and how we can honor the need for play, to honor our passions, and how all of that can be included in a societal context. It doesn't have to be escapism. It doesn't have to be counterproductive. Play, creativity, experimentation, celebrating ourselves, discovering our uniqueness, going against the grain by being ourselves, by celebrating ourselves. All of this is healthy. All of this can be included in our service, in our healing, in our own soul's evolution, and how we offer the results of our own evolution with others by self-expression, radiating our truth, our light, our inner expression, our heart. This is Leo. It is a full moon to harness and use the innovative charge of the times, to create and manifest a vision. This full moon's opposite to Jupiter in Aquarius, this very visionary, pioneering, expanding, technological expansion, moving into the future, humanity recognizing, hey, this is what we actually are, and this is how we can use science, and this is how we can improve our collective situation. So this is a vision of the future. Aquarius is also a vision of community. Jupiter rules natural laws, universal principles. How can we bring our innovative human developments, Aquarius, in harmony with nature? How can we share our own unique vision with the greater community? So this is a bringing together of humanity's creative and pioneering potential with nature. That's the potential here. Technology is not anti-nature. New, pioneering, experimental, controversial technology is not necessarily anti-nature. It's not what it looks like on the surface. It's how it's being used, and guess what? Also the effect that it has. And the beautiful thing about living life is effects are easily observable. Evidences are there to be observed, measured, and found. The results of our experimentation will generate an effect, and by measuring on our effect, we are gauging, we are adjusting, and we are continuing this evolutionary, pioneering, experimental time. Now, beautifully, on the day of the full moon, the sun is conjoined Jupiter and asteroid Lilith. Now, this illuminates, in addition to the technology, the progress, the humanitarianism, there is a primordial nature, a natural primal wisdom. That's what Lilith represents. The wisdom of humanity's ancient truth, the wisdom of natural evolution, that everything is ascension. Ascension is not just going on for certain people or people that choose at certain times. Ascension is everything. It's light and day. It's good and evil. It's heaven and hell. It's the reverberation between the past and the future, ceaselessly on this journey of learning and growing. And we're always learning and growing, and we always will gain and learn from our lived experiences, which is this eternal upward spiral. Everything is this spiral. Everything is evolution. Everything is ascension. And everything is being pushed by this primal force. So it's a time to see this force, to recognize this force, and to celebrate this by really owning it, embodying it, and letting off some fireworks in some creative, safe, celebratory type of way to really get moving this new direction, this new possibility. Uranus introduces new dimensional possibilities. We never knew it was possible before. Of course, our body and our nervous system can be overwhelmed and excited at times. It's like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't compute. When we go through highly Aquarian periods, it's like this. The future starts to come in so quickly, it's just freaking weird. It doesn't make any sense. It's incongruent with everything that we've ever known before. And yet, that is the primal force, that is the fundamental evolutionary inspiration, and it's there for us to celebrate. It's there for us to own and embody and feel and be motivated from the inside out. Now, Venus conjoins Pluto Thursday the 28th before moving into Aquarius February 1st. Venus-Pluto together is the deep end. It's exploring the deep end through relationship. What's really going on beneath the surface? What do we actually value? And is that being reciprocated? Is that able to be shared with those that we are closely associated with? What do we value in our own heart? Venus-Pluto is an exploration of magnetism. Okay, we get into these magnetic attractions and repulsions with the people that we have intimate connections with. And then we learn from these attractions and repulsions. This is Pluto, this is Scorpio realm. You know, in relationships, it's first Libra, first dates, sharing, talking, very polite, very nice, holding open of doorways, you know, whatnot. And then intimacy follows, Scorpio, water sign, fusion, merged resources, living in the same place, and it gets a little bit more claustrophobic, it gets a little bit more intense. And this is where we start to have this magnetism, which is one person's unconscious field coming against and making contact, creating a friction with another person's unconscious field, which is how we learn about each other's unconscious fields. What do you really value? Do I value the same things? Is this really what we like? Are we really meeting on the same page? So this is an opportunity to do this type of exploration, to go very deep, and not just to change and evolve who we're spending our time with, but how. How can we honor our core heart's passions? How can we honor our core heart's values? And how can we exchange this? Venus is energy exchange, all energy exchange. So it brings up money as well. You know, how are we exchanging resources? How are we exchanging funds? How are we doing with our work associates? Are we on the same page? Are we holding it together? And it's an opportunity to transform, to get even deeper, to discover more of our core values and how we can create a structure and a foundation that allows for the reciprocal meeting and sharing with other like minds, those that value similar things as ourself. Venus rules the electromagnetic field emitted by our own heart chakra. The inner side of Venus, Taurus, is what we value, what fills us up, what we love, what we cherish, what makes us feel really good. Well, as we discover more and more of what we value, no, this is what I'm about, no, this is what I'm doing, this is my life, that creates an electromagnetic field that does attract people of a similar wavelength that value similar things as ourselves. But it never just stops. These magnets are always evolving and changing through our interactions, through our relationships, and this is really the foundation of all life experience. This is why we are here, to learn about one another and from this experience, growth and evolution. Finally, the last major cosmic event that must be mentioned is Mercury stationing retrograde 26 degrees of Aquarius on January 30th and remaining retrograde through February 20th. Now, this is an opportunity to mentally reflect and digest all these incredibly groundbreaking discoveries and breakthroughs happening now and ongoing, to digest the future. It's the opportunity of this Mercury retrograde. So this is a really opportune time to get objective, to tune into the higher vantage point and see it, from a greater perspective and say, wow, this is amazing. And look at that. This objective perspective is much more seeing life as a chemical reaction. Aquarius, opposite to Leo, is impersonal. It wasn't personal. It's just these different chemicals or these different ingredients in a recipe. And if you add A plus B, you get C. And if this, then that, is this type of objective perspective we can be more so tuning into during this Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. Mercury retrograde gets a reputation, right? This is the stereotypical pop astrology world that, Mercury retrograde, everything's going to go wrong, technology is going to malfunction, everything's going to change. Mercury's way of encouraging evolution, innovation, recognition, moving forward through a Mercury retrograde is about having to find another route sometimes. So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's an opportunity. It's a gift when Mercury goes retrograde. It's an opportunity to do things a different way. If one thing doesn't work, don't force a square peg through a round hole. Remain flexible. Remain experimental, especially these weeks. But it's also a Mercury retrograde will sometimes invite us to look at things from a different perspective. And so if one route doesn't work, one date, one arrangement, one medium, one mode of communication, try another mode of communication. Try to meet on another date. Try to see it from another perspective. Try to come about it another way. Mercury rules the moon's north node this next year. We're all learning to do this. It's like we're learning to work with a Rubik's Cube. And we need to shift this Rubik's Cube sometimes. You can't just always see life in one particular way. It's very, very damaging and catatonic. This is something common in the New Age movement. Speaking of that South Node in Sagittarius, it's just like it all needs to be about meditation, or it all needs to be egoless. Everything must be free of ego desire. And this is really damaging. I mean, I'm mostly counseling, I shouldn't say that, but I'm counseling a lot of folks healing the damage that they've received from the New Age movement. So we have to access different perspectives to see the different parts of ourselves, the different parts of others, and we have to switch. We can't just see life or be in the same perspective or the same vantage point all the time. It is horribly painful. It's suffering. So we have to be able to change our perspective. We have to see things differently. And that's what this major Mercury retrograde, just beginning now, is an opportunity to experiment, to be flexible, to discover new ways, new perspectives, and new routes of going about things. So my friends, my folks, my soul fam, stay open to the new. Keep a steady gaze on the future, and most importantly, stay flexible, experiment, be willing to discover something new, take careful risks. The future is better than the past if we continue to remain awake and alive and are continuing to evolve forward. All things are evolving. There is an upward spiral at the foundation of all things. So let's remember that. Let's keep moving forward. The future is better. Let's take those careful risks in order to discover this, to prove it to ourselves, not to just blind faith or follow a group off of a cliff edge. Prove it to yourself. The proof's in the pudding. The evidences are here. Folks, Soul Fam, you can follow me here and on Instagram. I'll be steadily referring you to how you can become your own future seer. In my Astro School this month of January, I released 3 videos on the moon, another one coming out this next week on moon transits, in addition to a monthly live Q&A where I can look at people's personal charts, ask questions about astrology, what's going on in people's lives, in addition to an exclusive Patreon video and a monthly transit listing and calendar. That's all for $24 a month for my Astro School members on Patreon. So sign up if you are ready to learn. The curriculum continues now and forever for us all. And as always, wishing you all the best. Take care.